the last bill. So let me call up Delegate Walker on House Bill 175. It looks like a local Prince George's bill.
Thank you. How many people do you have testifying?
One.
Okay. Can I ask Reverend Screen to join me?
Yeah, Reverend Dr. Robert Screen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the E&T Committee, Chair Barve, Vice Chair Stein. House Bill 175 is a local bill. It's a little bit something different than what we normally do with protocol here in Maryland, but I'm just going to put it on the committee here, and I'm just going to be honest with you. We need your help. Prince George's County, we need your help. Indian Head Highway, which is Route 210, which is the lifeblood of my jurisdiction, in order to get to National Harbor and MGM, you go on 210. Once upon a time, it was the most congested, imagine this, it was the most congested highway in the state of Maryland with all reports through AAA and news reporting. But at the same time, it was also the deadliest highway in the state of Maryland. As Delegate Knotts, my colleague in the 26th District, Delegate Valderrama would be here. We've been trying to figure this out. It's a deadly highway. I am, as many of you all may know, I'm not the biggest fan, and I don't think any of the delegates are from our jurisdiction, of speed cameras, but the reality is speed cameras work. They get people to slow down. So I know that Indian Head Highway does not have a school on there. There's a construction zone which is taking place right now, but that's only temporary. It goes from touching Washington, D.C. to some of the rural tiers, which are in Accokeek, and all the way out towards Indian Head military base. We've tried to over-police it within the past, in November, December of 2017, when we asked the police department and the state troopers to police it, there were over 6,000 citations issued. A lot of people from Washington, D.C. come out there to speed on there, to drag race. You all may remember probably 6 or 7 years, you lost 12 people that were bystanders to a drag race. They were watching it. They fly down there. So although this is not conventional, which we need camera legislation for, we need it. We absolutely need it down there to get people to slow down. And with that being said, I'm going to ask that you all help us. The Prince George's County delegation voted favorable on this bill by a lot. It might have been unanimous. You may have it there. And I would just ask that you all, it's not something that we do in the state of Maryland, but if you're willing to try a pilot program for us, we will do that. But we absolutely need this because, as I said before, it is the deadliest highway in the state of Maryland.
And with that, we will turn to Reverend Dr. Screen. Welcome to the Environment and Transportation Committee.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I would like to read from the prepared statement I have here. Again, my name is Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen. I'm President and CEO of a nonprofit organization, River Jordan Project, but also the lead chaplain of the Fort Washington Medical Center located in Fort Washington, Maryland. I'm specifically before you today to ask for your help to save lives on the Prince George's County corridor of Indian Head Highway, Route 210, also labeled by the AAA Transportation Organization as the Highway of Death. It is labeled the Highway of Death because between the 10-year span from 2007 to 2017, approximately 60 people have died as a result of fatal traffic accident incidents on an 11-mile span of this roadway from Pine Drive in Accokeek to the Beltway interchange located in Fort Washington. My advocacy here today is to bring to your attention the dangerous, reckless speeding that is the habitual cultural signature on Indian Head Highway. In October of last year, 2017, the new police commander of the 7th District, Major James Coletti, conducted a speed analysis for Indian Head Highway and found the average speed for this highway was 78 miles per hour in a 50-mile-per-hour zone. As a result of the cooperative and joint efforts from the advocacy groups, media attention, and State Highway Administration, work zone cameras were placed at the 45-mile-per-hour segment of this highway of last year, beginning in October, going active in the month of November. For the months of November and December, just those 2 months, over 4,000 citations were issued from these cameras. Through the joint efforts of Major James Coletti from his arrival in September of 2017, combining with the Maryland State Police and additional Prince George's County Police units, from September 2017 to the last day of December, over 6,600 citations were issued, In other words, from September 2017 to December 2017, the combined citations of the speed camera in the work zone and Major Coletti and his force, there are over 11,000 citations issued in this highway in an 11-mile span. In the year 2008, one of the most deadly, if not most deadly fatal action has already been mentioned of the people that were killed in the Indian Head Highway. That particular site is where I live, where I come out of my residential area every day. Two additional people have died since that time.
Reverend, if you can begin to wrap up, we do have people who will ask questions, and you'll probably be able to expand upon your thought.
I surely will.
Okay.
My wife recently spoke to the last victim that occurred last year, less than a year ago, who lost her husband as a result of the accident in Pine Drive, the same location where the massive occurrence happened years earlier. Her wish was that, although still grieving, is that we would be able to have these speed cameras enforced and located on the Indian Head Highway. My prayer today and final is that you will support this speed camera initiative so that the safe dignity of human life may once again be found on this highway and that we can live in the safety as others do. And that should be my final word, and I thank you for this time before you.
Thank you, and thank you, Delegate. And I do remember the incident and our prior discussions around the tragedy that occurred. Unfortunately, there's nothing from State Highway in here, and this is a state road. So what other efforts has SHA undertaken, if any, to address the speeding on that road? Have they talked about a reconfiguration, a narrowing, anything at all?
Believe it or not, we're expanding that. So we're putting overpasses on there, which are going to eliminate some of the red lights that we have. And when you eliminate some of the stoplights, people are going to tend to go a little bit faster. What we worked on, in its unique situation because it's the closest state highway to the Virginia border. So we're the southern Prince George's County. So in doing so, it's a stretch on resources for the troopers to patrol it. And that's why we had to come to an MOU where the troopers and the Prince George's County Police Department can do it. But it's such a stretch on resources that it was ignored for some years by the state troopers. And then even in doing so, and we just built a new police station down there, but you just don't have the manpower to do that. So we've tried collective efforts, and they've tried over-policing. And the months that Reverend Screen talked about, those 6,000 citations were issued during that time of over-policing the road, and folks are still speeding, getting caught with citations.
Has State Highway actually looked at the roadway for any kind of changes in the way the roadway functions, not just the overpasses, which are going to eliminate intersections, but, I mean, actually other ways to narrow the roadway, for instance, that might slow people down? Have they done any analysis at all, do you know?
I'm sure they have, but you really can't, because keep in mind, this is a road that the fastest growing jurisdiction in the state of Maryland, as we know, is Charles County. In Charles County, Washington, D.C., without going on this road. And as I said before, it's the most congested road. It was the #1 congested road in the state of Maryland, but it's also the deadliest road once you start getting towards that rural tier. So it's a very unique situation in which they have there, and that's why we need this legislation, because of the uniqueness of the road.
Okay, thank you.
Next question is
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to pose a question in response to my colleague's question regarding the State Highway Administration, they've also put the speed indicators out on 210, and even with the speed indicators, Mr. Chair, they have continued to run 78 plus 80 miles an hour, if not more, along that highway. So they have taken other measures, but they have failed too. The question that I have, and it's kind of hard to ask a question when I know what's going on down there, is the fact that the state highway, Northern County, can lay on the side of the road as a speed trap car, because the shoulders are so thin, and the speed that travelers are taking is so dangerous that we would put officers in harm's way if they were to sit on the side of the road trying to monitor the traffic or deal with speeders up and down 210.
Yes.
Thank you.
And when you and right now there's some construction going on for the overpass that we have coming, and there's a huge bottleneck. So every time somebody gets pulled over, it increases the traffic on an already congested road.
Before I recognize Delegate Anderton, how much of How much of the road has that narrow shoulder situation going on?
I would say probably the stretch of it. It's pretty consistent. Is it 4 lanes going up and down east, north and south?
Three.
And so it's probably pretty consistent because they're rural tiers right there. Then you have some.
I mean, is it a
businesses.
lot of the road or that has that as an issue? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the simple answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
And if I can say one more thing.
Sure.
Regarding revenue, folks down there, I was surprised. I held a town hall meeting regarding, this instance, and, I thought it was all about revenue. Folks didn't like it because some people think the speed cameras are a revenue grab. In this case, the whole community was like, hey, we're willing to pay a $40 ticket and lose some more lives there. And so, this for your information.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for being late, but it's in my DNA. So, if you could catch me up real quick, this is a local bill, right? Supported by the delegation,
Yes, it is.
unanimous or close to it.
Yes.
Right. And you have your sheriff. Is that right?
No, this is Reverend Screen,
Reverend Screen. I'm sorry.
advocate for the road.
Sorry, Rev.
That's okay. That's quite all right.
Well, you are a guardian of the law, just a different type of law. So.
One that I advocate, but yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So I've traveled that road, so I get, I've seen the makeup of it. And, so I just wanted to make sure that this only affects one road and this is supported by the delegation. It's purely a local bill, right?
Purely local, and we're trying to save lives.
Right on. All right. Thanks.
Delegate Folden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for bringing the bill forward, Delegate.
Thank you.
So, did you say it was 4 lanes in each direction?
Yes. Is it 3? Maybe it's 3.
So, are you planning on setting this up? I'm just trying to get a visual. Are you planning on setting this up like they do in the work zones with a mobile vehicle, or are you talking about like actually having
We like.
speed cameras set up on a stationary pole?
Yeah, I
type?
think it would be best if they do it with the speed camera set up on a pole. Like if you're going, from Washington D.C., they have a lot of speed cameras on 295, which affect this, and they've gotten people to slow down there. So because of anytime you have a distraction on that road, it really congests it really has a blockage. So I would think they need to do a stationary.
Okay, I was
But
just
state
kind of,
highway
I was
would
just
do
trying to
that.
get an idea of visual of what you're trying to present, because it would be it's a little difficult when you're talking about a 3 or 4 lane berth of roadway you'd have to have, I guess, multiples at a single location, multiple cameras, because otherwise you're going to have people that would be arguing like, I wasn't in that other vehicle next to me, because you're only given a stationary photo.
Yeah, right now, because of the work zone that they have a car that they're putting in there while the construction is there, but that's going to end. But I go to 295, which you have to take from Washington, D.C. to get to our jurisdiction, and they have stationary, and they capture everybody, trust me. My wife's been caught a lot of times.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
So, and then you said that I guess you had like a town hall type setup with the locals, and they were in support of it because obviously they would know it's there. Yeah. But what do you like? People go there, lose their money in casino. It's not bad enough. Then you're going to get them like as they're frustrated driving out too. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Delegate Healy.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This one of the issues with this is I'm looking on Google Maps and I've got a picture of the highway in front of me. It is 3 lanes in each direction, and I think that it's just part of it is the design of the road. It's kind of looks like a straightaway, and that's why you have people tempted to drag race there late at night when there's a little bit less traffic. So I understand why you need this. And I'm in full support of it. But I want to at least highlight the fact that when you're traveling on this particular road, you may not have a school along there, which would allow you to do what every place else does, where there's a major road.
Yes.
But you do have a hospital, you have churches, you have places where there are vulnerable people that can be hurt, and in fact were hurt just standing on the side of the road during one of those incidents. So I think we need to take a good look at this and make sure that we deal with this appropriately. And I just, don't you agree, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I do. And thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Okay, there are no further questions. Thank you, Delegate. That concludes the bill hearing for House Bill 175. Next, we'll turn